أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على حي على الفلاح حي على الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
What a finishing touch to our visit.
Just think, Joe. Before another day has dawned, 350 million people will have heard this same call, faced the same holy city, prayed the same prayer. Well, that's almost 1 out of every 7 persons in the world, starting each new day with an act of worship.
I wonder how many Christians do as much. I guess the most valuable things we're taking home are impressions to think about.
Too bad you didn't decide that before you bought the brass tray and the pearl inlaid box.
All right, don't change the subject. And don't go back to sleep either. We leave for the airport in about an hour and we haven't finished packing yet.
Oh, you Americans, always in a hurry.
It has been fun, slowing down to the pace of the Middle East for a few weeks. You know, sometimes it seems as if we've been here for years. And then I get the feeling that we arrived just yesterday.
This is one land that really plays tricks on you about time, isn't it? Remember how we felt that first morning? We were out of New York a little more than 24 hours, and then all of a sudden, Cairo, Egypt, land of the pharaohs.
Whoever dreamed that someday we'd have a room overlooking the Nile? Remember the welcome they gave us, Ralph? Why, you would have thought we were visiting royalty.
I also remember that you couldn't wait till the next day to start seeing the sights. a burial ground for many of Egypt's mighty kings. For 5,000 years, guarded by a mysterious creature of the desert.
I heard a number of stories that account for the supercilious smirk on the camel's face. But the day we were there, I think two of them had a very special reason.
Oh, I don't know. I thought we did pretty well, considering it was our first time aboard.
Isn't it strange that a land with such an ancient heritage should adopt the youngest of the major religions?
Well, I think you can credit Islam's founder with that, Joe. Starting with a handful of followers in Mecca, his hometown, Muhammad became the leader of a faith which in his own lifetime swept across Arabia. Then, immediately following his death, it overwhelmed the Mediterranean world and moved into India. For 100 years, nothing could stop it. North Africa, Spain, great deal of Europe. Then it moved over into Central Asia, Afghanistan, and then finally, the East Indies.
But how, Ralph? Christianity didn't spread that rapidly, and it had 600 years head start.
Yes, but don't forget the Christian church all but bypassed Arabia in its early days. No, in my opinion, the success of Islam is the success of Muhammad's welding of the Arab tribal units, torn by ancient feuds and diversified customs, into a single united Arab nation. Fiercely loyal and devoted, they in turn swept the Eastern world with their dream of a church state, an empire of Allah. And all of this from the nucleus of an Arab tribe to which each member owed absolute allegiance. Remember, we had a chance to see the desert people at close range as guests of one of the Bedouin chiefs.
I remember the Sheikh of Araby turned out to be the Sheikh, according to Arabic pronunciation.
Well pronounced either way. His hospitality certainly puts Western customs to shame.
Oh, you're so right. I remember learning that the Bedouin's tent is made of black goat's hair, coarse enough to protect from the winter winds, and still it's an excellent sunshade in summer.
And there they've lived, unchanged by the passing of centuries. Families closely knit into a single tribe. Their lives governed. Eating is only permitted at night except for those who are ill. Well, you've skipped one, but I won't penalize you for giving them out of order.
Oh, well, that's mighty kind of you, Professor. The giving of alms and the pilgrimage to Mecca, which is required once during the lifetime of every Muslim who is physically and financially able to make the trip. And...
Oh, come now, Joe. You're missing the most obvious one. What awakened us this morning?
Oh, yes, of course. The saying of the stated prayers.
Who can ever see a dome or a minaret in a Muslim city and forget that one? And who can ever forget the sound of the muezzin calling the faithful to prayer? Sunrise, noon, mid-afternoon, sunset, and after dark. And always preceded by that call. The Jews used the trumpet to summon worshipers. The early Christians, bells. But Muhammad chose the human voice. And the muezzin recalls an ancient tradition of Islam which promises him a place in heaven as large as the area in which his voice can be heard.
In Arabic, he calls, Allah is great. I bear witness there is no God but Allah. I bear witness that Muhammad is his prophet. Come to salvation. Allah is great. There is no God but Allah. Before the Muslim can pray, he must perform ceremonial washings. The face and hands, arms to the elbow, and then the feet and ankles. Muhammad said, purity is half of faith. If no water is available, sand may be used.
I discovered that the 5 stated prayers each day are really periods of praise. Portions of the Quran are recited by each worshiper. Friday to the Muslim is about what Sunday is to the Christian. On this day, worshipers go to the mosque to hear a sermon and to pray. They bow and kneel and prostrate themselves in perfect unison.
Yet Muhammad told his followers, the earth is a mosque for you. Therefore, wherever the time of prayer reaches you, there pray. So, 5 times a day, wherever the proper hour overtakes him, a Muslim faces Mecca and worships. They told us the word Islam means literally submission, and the Muslim's observance of the stated prayers is an eloquent example.
We haven't seen much organized charity in most Muslim countries, the poor depending on the giving of alms for their support. The Code of Islam prescribes a certain portion of all income, whether from the harvest or any other source, to be the legal alms. Giving is left to the individual for whatever religious activity he may choose.
Remember that old mosque we visited in the heart of Cairo?
Oh yes, Ibn Tulun. That's the one patterned after the Kaaba at Mecca.
When we were at Tulun, I tried to envision the great crowd of pilgrims who each year journey so many weary miles, some halfway around the world, to spend 3 days in ceremonies and prayer.
I doubt if anything binds the Muslim world together like the pilgrimage to Mecca. Each pilgrim returns to his homeland with a title of respect that he bears with him the rest of his life.
Okay, this one's ready to go.
Ready to go? What do you got packed in there, the pyramids?
If that's supposed to be a pun, it...
I know. It stinks. Say, Joe, did you know that Islam teaches that Abraham is the true father of their faith? Muhammad said he was called by God to reestablish it.
Isn't it strange that Abraham figures so prominently in all 3 of the religions which worship one God?
Well, not really, Joe. Abraham was the father of Israel through Isaac, and he was also the father of the Arab nation through Ishmael. And of course, Christianity has the same background as Judaism. We saw this blending of the 3 faiths in Jerusalem, the center of Jewish and Christian tradition, but also second only to Mecca and Medina as the most holy city of the religion of Islam.
Will you ever forget how much at home we felt at the American Colony Hotel? I'm sure that part of it was the profusion of green grass and shrubs and the tall trees. It was such a contrast to much of the surrounding countryside.